Good evening, everyone. A very happy Thursday to everybody watching. Welcome to Live from Redfearn's Bar. We're still undefeated since the restart. We've yet to concede a goal, but the hard work is only just getting started as we head into a huge game away at Stoke on Saturday. We're less than 48 hours from that game in the Potteries, which is why we're super thankful that after Michael Solbauer and Jacob Brown last week, tonight's Live from Redfearn's Bar guest is another massively influential first-team player. That influence was never more obvious than when he put us 1-0 up on Tuesday with a cracking header that sent us on our way to beating Blackburn. We all thought he was signing in 2018. We eventually got him in 2019, and he's in double figures for goals in his debut season. Our 24th live guest is Conor Chaplin. Good evening, Conor.
Evening, mate. How you doing? You okay?
Yeah, I'm not bad. Look, I'm struggling to remember these early kickoffs myself, but we've just seen Hull get a last-minute winner against Middlesbrough. Do you see that as a good result for us, a bad result?
I think I'll echo what the manager says, to be honest. I don't think it matters too much about other people at the minute. I think we know the target that we've set ourselves. Just focus on the controllables and things that we can have an influence on. Don't waste energy thinking about other clubs and other players, other teams. So that's probably the most important thing at the moment.
Absolutely, and 3 points on Saturday, and no one cares what happened tonight. So
exactly that.
Look, on to Tuesday night. Just wow, what a win that was. How good has the mood been? Training been today and yesterday?
Yeah, it's been good. We had a day off yesterday. Bit of time to recharge the batteries. Recovery day. Not had too many days off, as you can imagine, since being back in. It's been quite hectic. I know with the schedule, the gaffer wants to make sure that he looks after us, so we're all feeling fresh as much as possible. Today it was good being back in today, back on the grass, and yeah, it's good seeing the boys after a win. It's always better being back amongst the boys when you've had 3 points.
Yeah, I can imagine. And then from a personal perspective, how did it feel getting back on the score sheet?
Yeah, it was good. It's been a long time since that, obviously, with the lockdown. So it's quite a few months ago since the last time I experienced that feeling, and yeah, it's the best feeling in the world. So it was definitely nice to experience that one again.
And it was a really positive start for us on Tuesday. First 10 minutes or so, we were on the front foot, we were playing well, and then Blackburn put us under some pressure in the run up to half time. How did the half-time team talk go from Gerhard? What was he saying to the players?
Couldn't tell you. I was on the pitch, obviously warming up. I was
God, of course.
So obviously I was on the pitch warming up with Brad Collins, actually. So yeah, I don't know what was said. I know obviously we changed formation, but yeah, like you say, I thought we started the game really well. First sort of 10-15 minutes, we were probably the best team. Took the game to them like we would want to at Oakwell anyway. Then they sort of found their feet and they had a few chances. Probably rode our luck a little bit at times, which is good because I haven't had too much of that this season. So and then changed shape at half time, went back to the 4-diamond-2, and probably you could see how comfortable we felt in that formation. And yeah, it was obviously since the half time it was a lot better.
And going back to the goal, it was a superb crossfield ball from Mads, first of all, and then a Trent Alexander-like cross from Lundvig. But then how does someone at 5'7" sneak in between their two centre-backs like that for the header?
Well, it's not about at all. That's the thing with me anyway. Obviously, I know if I'm gonna compete with someone in the air, sort of next to him, I'm not gonna win the header. I'm not stupid. I've got quite a good jump, but I'm not going to jump or out jump someone by 2 feet. So it's not going to work. Just got to sort of be clever and you've got to find space in the box and put yourself in between players where it causes uncertainty. And that's what I've done. Put myself in between the fullback and the centre half. So they're probably after the goal looking at each other, expecting each other to deal with it. But yeah, once that happens, you just got to sort of trust the ball in from the player that's crossing the ball, and like you say, it was an unbelievable cross. Tough technique. It was on the half volley, in step, and it was lovely. It was a lovely ball. Couldn't have been a better ball, to be honest.
Well, it was a cracking goal as well, and it looked great on the iFollow cameras. We can tell you that. But we can't not ask about the celebration. It was obviously a passionate one, but one that looked to be born out of a little bit of frustration, maybe as well. Was that a signal to the manager that you want to be starting games now?
Yeah, it was definitely a frustrated celebration. I won't lie about that. But it's anytime you go on the pitch, if you're a substitute, if you're playing, it's a chance to sort of make a statement to the manager, make a statement to those watching. I know there's no fans at the moment, but obviously a lot of Barnsley fans are watching through iFollow, and it's a chance to make a statement and sort of make sure that people know that you're obviously willing to work for the team, to score goals for the team. But yeah, it's definitely a statement, but it's not too dissimilar to what you're looking to do every time you step on the pitch.
And with Oakwell empty, is the instinct once you score still to run over to the fans as if they're there?
Yeah, it is a bit actually. That's the strange bit. I think you see the games on the telly, and even the games that we've had, you still see players sort of run to the corner flag, which is obviously where fans usually are.
Jacob Brown did.
I guess it's just habit. It's just habit, sort of wheeling away as you say. But yeah, it's definitely still something that you're sort of maybe when you score you're off trotting somewhere without realising that there's no fans in for a couple of seconds.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm not sure how many teams in the championship are playing with the fake noise, but we've deliberately opted to go without it in the 2 games at Oakwell. Do you think it's better playing at Oakwell without the sound compared to what you experienced at QPR?
I'm not too sure what difference it makes when you're on the pitch, because you kind of, it's not, obviously there's crowd noise, but it's not as loud as maybe fans when fans are in the stadium. But no, I don't really think it matters when you're on the pitch. It's more when you're on the bench. At QPR, it was annoying when I was watching the game. It's just big noises behind you, but obviously there's a delay on the noises. So someone misses a shot, 5 seconds later, there's a big ooh from the crowd. It's just a bit far fetched, but that's what we're dealing with at the moment. I quite like it without, to be honest. But yeah, I don't think it makes too much difference when you're on the pitch.
And the pitch was a very happy place for the players and coaching staff at the final whistle, as we've seen with the club's videos that they've posted in the last couple of days. You were definitely in the dressing room at this point. So how was the dressing room after the game? And did Gerhard let you enjoy the win, but then quickly remind you that, we've got 6 more cup finals to go?
Yeah, there's definitely an element of that. It's quite brief, just a quick well done. And like you say, you can't get carried away with 1 win or 2 wins or 7 points from 3 games. There's honestly no point in the situation we're in for looking at how well we've done since the restart, how many points we've got since the restart. There's nothing like that from the manager and from the lads. We just focus on the next game literally as soon as that final whistle goes. There's obviously some congratulations and well done for the performance, for the win. But honestly, there's that many games in such a short period. Your focus has to switch quite quickly onto the next game.
And before we ask you about other games this season and look ahead to the Stoke game in particular, we thought we'd use this opportunity to ask you about your career pre-Barnsley, which takes us back to you being 6 years old playing for Portsmouth. How does a 6-year-old get picked up by a professional club so young?
I don't really know, to be honest, is the answer to that. I just had an open day. Just an open day at my local club back down south, Worthing. It was a Worthing Dynamos, which was my Sunday League team at the time. Just had an open day, and it was literally on the first open day that I ever went to. There was a Portsmouth scout there, so that's basically where it's come from. Which is it's like anything. It's timing. It's him waking up in the morning, deciding not to go, maybe to go, which is why it's so soon. Sorry. But like you say, it is a really young age. But obviously you can't sign until you're 9, so you're kind of on the books for maybe 2 or 3 years, and then until you can sign.
And it's actually 7 years tomorrow since you signed your 2-year scholarship contract with Pompey. Is that the moment that you really knew football was going to be your career? And how big a day was it signing those papers?
Wow, that's some impressive research. 7 years ago, that's quite scary to think about like that. No, definitely that's not. That definitely isn't a point that I thought I've sort of cracked it in the game. It's probably the opposite. I was told, and rightly so, I was told pretty much through through that time. I had good advice from coaches, from family, that sort of when you get in the game as a scholar or even your first pro deal, it's not easy because it's obviously such a small percentage that it happens to, but that's the easy part in the grand scheme of things. Staying in the game for a long period of time, having a good career is the hard part. And I thoroughly believe that as well. I've had so many friends at Portsmouth that aren't in the game anymore, sort of similar ages, maybe a couple of years above, a couple of years below, that sort of age bracket that aren't in the game anymore. It's definitely the case in terms of staying in the game is a lot harder. So no, that it was obviously a proud moment for me and my family, but it wasn't something that I looked at and thought, I've cracked it in the game. It was kind of just another motivation to think, right, that's that done, ticked off. I need to sort of get the next one, which was my pro contract. And then my debut, sort of setting targets like that and never being happy with just obviously getting a scholarship.
Yeah, and you mentioned your pro contact, you mentioned your debut, and that came at 17 off the bench against Accrington. I know the result wasn't quite what you'd hoped for a debut, but can you remember that feeling, making a debut for Portsmouth, a club you'd been at for over 10 years at that point?
Yeah, I can remember it. I was absolutely bricking it, shaking. My legs were shaking when I was sort of waiting to go on. It was scary. It's a scary moment when you're a young kid and you're sort of going into the unknown. It's a man's world when you step out onto the pitch, especially at a place like Fratton Park. Yeah, it was daunting, but it's something that I've worked sort of all my life before that moment, for that moment as well. So it was, after the game, it was proud to look back on. Even now, it's obviously good moment to look back on, with a big extra large shirt and a baggy sleeves. It looked terrible, but it's it's definitely something that I smile about when I see pictures, etc.
And then your first Pompey goal came around 4 months later. How did that go down? Can you remember that one?
Yeah, I can remember that as well. Them little moments you don't tend to forget. It was actually the manager at the time, Andy Orford. It was his last game. He got the sack after that game because we lost, and the club wasn't doing too well. So it was his last game. But yeah, I remember that goal quite well. And like I say, that's another moment that will stick with you forever.
And you continue scoring goals, but you're in and out of the team and you're struggling a little bit sometimes to get continuous games in a row. Was it hard knowing that you were obviously good enough, but sometimes managers were bringing in other strikers ahead of you rather than just letting you have your time up front?
Yeah, it was tough. It was definitely tough, but the first couple of years at Portsmouth anyway, definitely wasn't like that. I was just so happy to be in the squad and be playing my part. My first, like you say, when I made my debut that year, it was December. So the rest of that season, I came off the bench a couple of times. I made my first start the last game of that season, which was a bit of a token one really. Last game we had nothing to play for, so a few of the academy lads sort of started. But that summer I wanted to sort of come back really well and kick on and obviously try and start games. But it's not until a bit later that you realise, especially under Paul Cook at Portsmouth, the pressure to go up from League Two for a club like Portsmouth was frightening. He was under so much pressure, and I was doing well for him. I remember the captain came to me once and he said, I must have been 18. Michael Daw at the time, and he said, look, like, keep your head up. I've spoken to the manager. Like, he absolutely loves you, but at the moment when you come on, no one else can give us a lift like you can when you come on. So that's the reason that you're struggling to start games. And obviously there's people that are brought in to be a big number 9 for Portsmouth and League Two, and politics in football as well. They've got to play. That's just how it works, and probably don't realise that until you experience it in football, sort of growing up in football. But yeah, it was something that only maybe a season, 2 seasons before I left Portsmouth was. But before then, I was absolutely loving it. It was my boyhood club. Obviously, it was something that, yeah, it was unbelievable to be a part of it and to score goals, even if that meant coming on from the bench.
And in the summer of 2018, everyone thought you were signing for Barnsley. We still don't know if it was even a reliable rumour or if Portsmouth didn't want to sell to a promotion rival. Was that deal ever close? Were you ever coming to Barnsley?
Yeah. I think it was pretty much pretty much sorted the same as Coventry. And then just when I was the next day, or maybe 2 days before I signed at Coventry, both of the clubs were there. And then sort of Pompey narrowed it down to the one club in the end, and just said that obviously they thought Barnsley were gonna be sort of promotion rivals, so they didn't want to sell to them. And obviously it turned out that way. Pompey were right to do that because obviously Barnsley went up, and Pompey didn't. So it was definitely a decision that obviously they'll say was the right decision. But yeah, it was close, yeah.
And like you say, it was Coventry that did sign you, with former Barnsley manager Mark Robbins, always spoken so highly of by former players at Barnsley. What was he like to play for yourself personally?
Yeah, he was good. I really enjoyed playing for him. I really enjoyed sort of working with him daily as well. I had a really good relationship with him. Still keep in touch now. So yeah, he's obviously done a really good job with Coventry the last 2 years since he's gone back for his second stint at the club. And it's such a great club, massive club with great fans. And yeah, like I say, he's done an amazing job. And obviously, hopefully, we'll be playing them next season if we can sort of see the job through this season.
Oh, absolutely. Now, just one more question on your pre-Barnsley days, but you've been at Portsmouth for 15 years at the point you signed for Coventry. How difficult was that move to make when reality hit that you were moving to someone else?
It was harder for my mum than it was for me. She wasn't too happy. But it's just sort of, it wasn't too hard, to be honest, just because I needed it so much for my career, and I pushed it so hard to get out of Portsmouth in the end, because I knew that was the right thing to do for selfish reasons, for my career, to further myself and to play games and score more goals. And it's turned out so far to be the right decision. So I'm so glad that I've done that. But yeah, in terms of moving away, it's completely different. Obviously, Portsmouth back home's on my doorstep. See my family whenever I want. Most days, obviously. But obviously, moving to the Midlands. Maybe saw them sort of once every 2 months when they came up, or I had 2 days off consecutively, which wasn't very common. Sort of sometimes you're waiting for a Sunday, Monday off from the gaffer, but obviously that doesn't happen too much. But as soon as that happens, I was straight down the M1 and sort of going home and seeing my family. So that was different. But it was okay. I had my girlfriend and my dog with me, so it was fine.
Happy days. And then you did actually sign for Barnsley last summer with us as a championship team. Was that an easy transfer to make? Did it just go through quite nicely?
Yeah, it did actually. And Mark Robbins was really good with me with that as well. As soon as the sort of interest came, I knew it was quite serious. I just spoke to him about it because it's the sort of relationship that I had with him. And he just asked me, sort of plain and simple, what I wanted to do. And I told him that I wanted to play in a championship. I wanted to play for Barnsley. And he was like, all right, I'll try my best to make it happen. You'll just have to be patient with me. Let me try and get a replacement in. And he was true to his word. He was amazing with it, to be fair. So yeah, I'm thankful to him for that. After a bit of a stressful time, sort of leaving Portsmouth, it was nice to have quite a low key transfer the second time.
And you didn't sign in time for the pre-season tour to Nice in Germany, but did you settle in quite quickly still?
Well, I went the day I signed. I flew straight to Germany that day. Right. I wasn't there for the Nice tour, and I flew to Germany straight away, and then I played the next day, which was the second game for the boys in Germany. I can't remember who the team was that we played. But yeah, so I flew straight away, and I was there for maybe 2 days, and then flew back home with the team, which was good. Yeah, but it was quite tough, obviously, settling in. But that's the same as every club. It takes you maybe weeks or months to settle in terms of not just what you guys see on the pitch, in terms of finding a house to stay, location when you've got no clue what the area's like or anything like that. Luckily, the physios at Craig Sedgwick helped me quite a lot. I was asking him every day, what's this place like? What's that place like? And showing him sort of houses on Rightmove. So he was brilliant for me. He helped a lot, which probably doesn't realise at the time, but looking back on things like that, it does really help. And the players are brilliant as well. The players were obviously the young squad, so everyone's sort of similar ages. So yeah, it was quite easy in that sense. But maybe in terms of a new league championship, I didn't settle in as quickly as I would have liked in terms of on the pitch performances, starting games, etc. But yeah, obviously it came well in the end.
And for your Barnsley and Oakham debut, it was a glorious day and a result against Fulham. Coming off the bench to make it, did you instantly think this is a great move? What a great summer decision to join Barnsley.
Yeah, of course I did. It was unbelievable first day. Even though I was disappointed not to play, it was an unbelievable sort of experience. Championship debut, obviously Fulham just got relegated from the Premier League. Everyone expected us obviously not to win that game, and we played brilliant as well. We played probably Fulham off the park at times, and we played really good stuff. And obviously won 1-0, and everyone was so happy. Obviously the fans, yeah, it was brilliant. It was a really good introduction.
And Daniel Stender left the club 2 months into the season because we struggled to match what we achieved in that Fulham game. How challenging is it as a new signing when the head coach moves on so quickly?
Yeah, it probably is. Obviously, I knew he had a lot of faith in me in terms of waiting that year to bring me to the club, and then obviously finally signing me. I didn't know whether that chance would come again, but thankfully he was still there a year later. But yeah, it's obviously strange when that happens. But also I'm obviously reasonably young, but I've experienced quite a lot in terms of managers. And things in football already. So it's just part and parcel of the game. Managers come and go quite a lot. But it's just sort of what happens now in the modern game. So you've got to adapt quickly. You can't sort of be upset or be annoyed or even be happy about certain things. You've got to sort of just crack on and sort of get on with the next one and try and make a good impression on the next gaffer that comes in.
And that next gaffer was Gerhard Struber. And since he's been in charge, you've pretty much been an ever-present in scoring goals for fun. How has Gerhard had a big impact on you performing so well for Barnsley?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely. Probably the main thing he done was play me up front, as a two, sort of in there. Obviously, everyone knows he likes to play the diamond. That's his preferred formation, and that just seemed to be something that really suited me. And yeah, I think he's been probably a big instrumental factor in that sense. And probably the players that I played with as well, Cooley and Brownie, that I've played with the majority of the game started with, probably nearly all of them, bar a couple. We sort of started every game together as a front three. Well, two strikers and a number 10, and it's just really clicked between the three of us when it started. Sort of bring sort of negatives and positives out of each other's games, cover each other's not so good parts, and probably highlight each other's positive parts between the three of us. So yeah, it was just something that clicked quite early, and you can see that in sort of the goal return for all of us. Obviously Brownie's got a lot of assists as well. But yeah, you can probably tell that from the stats as well.
And you touched on it a little bit just there, talking about being played up front in a front two. That is definitely where you prefer to play than being forced to play out wide as a winger or as a left forward?
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't say I'm a winger. I definitely wouldn't say I'm a winger, but I'd like if a team needs me to play there, I'll play there. Daniel Stendhal probably tried to play me there a few times. But definitely my favourite position, I think my most effective position is up front, through the middle. I had that problem a bit at Coventry in terms of sometimes playing as a number 10. Well, not sometimes, probably majority of the time I was playing as a number 10. And I went there expected to score a lot of goals, and I was playing in a withdrawn position. And probably even with myself as well, I was a bit sort of confused as to where my best position was. Whether I was going to be a 10, whether I was going to be a number 9 as a pairing, or as a sort of solo number 9. But yeah, I definitely think that to get the best out of me would be up front, definitely.
And when you were up front, you got your first career hat-trick against QPR in that vital 5-3 win. Do you still have the match ball?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, of course I do. It's something that, honestly, it's something that I'll never forget. That was, it was unbelievable. So I treated myself to a frame from my match ball, and I've got sort of the video of the goals as well underneath it. So it's something that obviously is a bit of a prized asset, but it's something that I wanna add to the collection as well. I want to get something or another one to put next to it sometime soon.
And another question about one of your goals. I think this was Millwall away. I should know because I was there. But the dance celebration. What was the deal with that?
It's a shocker, really, wasn't it? I don't really. It's just something in the change rooms. The lads were having a bit of a laugh in the change rooms beforehand. And you probably see by the dance. Brownie's got a bit in terms of dance moves, so he was sort of dancing in the change rooms, and it's just something a bit funny from that, really. We had our Christmas do, not maybe the weekend before that, after the QPR game, yeah. So obviously we saw each other throwing some shapes there. There was a few dodgy ones. So yeah, just come from that, really. Just a bit of banter between some of the boys.
And I'll just sneak this question in: Who throws the worst shapes in the squad?
The worst, Cooley, without a doubt, was just stiff and awkward.
Brilliant. Lockdown then hit us, and you're in probably your best goal scoring form since, I don't know, 11-11 for Portsmouth under-18s. How did you deal with those early days of training being cancelled and the uncertainty of football coming back, etc.?
Yeah, it was horrible, to be fair. Especially when I felt like I was in probably the form, like you say, the form of my life. To be honest, I felt really good. Probably as fit as I've ever been, just due to playing the amount of games that I had consecutively. I felt really good. But sort of straight away, it wasn't too bad. Maybe there was about 2-week period where the game against QPR got called off, and between that and lockdown, so I went home for that 2 weeks, which allowed me to see obviously some of my family I hadn't seen for quite a while. So that was good. That's obviously a bit of a silver lining. But then as soon as lockdown hit, we came back up here and been here ever since. I don't know how long it was, 9-10 weeks maybe was it, lockdown. But yeah, it's just a case of that itching to get back, going out on your own. Obviously it's quite nice weather at times, but sometimes it was raining out there, and going out in the pouring rain, going out when it's sort of really hot. It's a lot easier to do those sort of things when you're in a team environment. But yeah, you had to knuckle down. You had to crack on with your own personal sort of fitness regime that the club sets you, and that was important because, like I say, we had to come back, and everyone had to be professional enough because we knew that when we came back, we was going to be up against it in a real dogfight. So we had to be sort of firing all cylinders, and that's something that credit to all the boys. We've managed to do that so far.
And through lockdown, which players did you keep in touch with the most?
Probably Cooley, Brad Collins, and Kenny Woodrow. Kenny Dougal. Yeah, Cooley, Kenny, and Brad, I'd say the most. Yeah, I'd say them three probably.
And how hard was it? You mentioned the training plan there, and bad weather, good weather, etc. How hard was it to stick to that training plan when you're just in lockdown and isolated on your own, so to speak?
Personally, I didn't find it too hard because you got nothing else to do, and it gives you a bit of direction. It gives you a bit of sort of a plan of things to do throughout the week, so you know what you're doing day to day, which some people can struggle with as well if you've got no sort of direction or plan. It can be tough. So we had that, thankfully, from the club. So yeah, I didn't struggle to do it. Probably the opposite. Look forward to sort of doing those things because there was honestly nothing else to do.
And football behind closed doors was announced as this restart plan, and players flew back from Denmark, Austria, and other countries. Were you as excited as Jacob Brown to get back to training when that first day came?
Oh yeah, I honestly couldn't wait. I thought it was going to come maybe a week earlier, so I built myself up quite a lot. I was getting excited the week before because I had friends that were going back training within a couple of days. So I thought, this is going to be us soon. But the championship just kept delaying it. So we didn't go back probably a week after I thought we were. So I got myself all excited. Then I was gutted when we couldn't go back when I thought we was. But no, it was good to finally be back, and the sun was out, which wasn't nice at the start because there was a lot of running. So could have done with a few cloudy days, but the sun was out, and it was just so nice being back amongst the boys, even if it was sort of social distancing at that time.
And we had a great start at QPR in that first game. Picked up the win, broke that Loftus Road hoodoo or curse that's been on us for 70 years. When you came on, did it feel like you hadn't been away, even though it was an empty stadium, fake crowd noise, etc.?
Yeah, I think it does when you go over the white line. It is sort of just you click into game mode sort of thing. But obviously it was a bit surreal and a bit strange about the fans. Does sort of feel like a pre-season friendly or sort of behind closed doors game. Definitely does have that vibe to it, but there's a lot at stake at this point in the season. So you've got to sort of not have them thoughts in your head. But to be honest, as soon as the competitive game starts, we had a friendly against Sheffield, and that was sort of similar. But as soon as the competitive game starts, you can sort of tell that there's an extra edge. The fans make it a lot more entertaining, a lot easier for the players to perform. That's personal opinion anyway. I prefer sort of when the fans are there, you get a real lift from the fans. Sort of when you're not doing so well, you get sort of the grumbles and the moans, which I quite like at times. It gives you sort of added motivation. And then when you are doing well, there's obviously the cheers and the roars help you out just as much. So yeah, it's something that it was strange to begin with, but I think it was fine once everyone those competitive games got going.
And we're at 7 points from a possible 9, thanks to the 0-0 draw with Millwall. So it's been a really, really good start, a brilliant start. As we look ahead to Stoke at the weekend, and what is another massive game for us, how are the squad feeling about the game and the importance of it and the chances of getting 3 points?
Yeah, everyone's excited. It's going to be a tough test. They're obviously down in the relegation fight with us, but they're a massive club for the league. Obviously a Premier League club for a number of years. People expect them to bounce straight back up because of the size of the club and the players that they have. But it's not easy when you sort of come back down a division, whether that be Premier League to Championship or Championship to League One. You've seen that with a lot of clubs. It's never easy, and that's sort of been proof in the pudding really with that Stoke side. It's been tough for them, but don't get me wrong, they've got some unbelievable players. They've got international players, players that have been Premier League players pretty much their whole career. So the quality that they've got is really good. But like I say, they're in that position for a reason, whatever that reason may be. So we're looking forward to going and definitely looking to sort of take 3 points home with us.
And I'm sure the players would admit themselves that the game against Stoke at Oakwell was one of our poorer ones this season. Has that been discussed by the squad as a bit of extra motivation to win back those 3 points?
No, I think it's just best to sort of erase their memories from your head. That's not been spoken about at all, to be honest, this week. Sort of a fresh start since the lockdown. It's obviously everyone's at a even playing field in terms of fitness, in terms of everyone's been in the same circumstances in terms of lockdown as well. So no, nothing sort of before the lockdown has really been spoken about. It's just been sort of them 9 games and bigging up for them 9 games, and now it's gone down to 6. It's no different. It's exactly the same message occurs.
And I appreciate you can't give much away, but you're hoping to start on Saturday?
Yeah, definitely. I'm hoping to. Yeah, without a doubt.
And Stoke will be desperate to turn their form around with the situation. You mentioned they're bottom of the table. They're right in this dogfight with us now that we've clawed back 7 of the points. Is the message from Struber that we can't let our intensity levels drop or get complacent, and we've just got to be on it for these next 6 games?
Yeah, that's definitely the message. But I don't think that message hasn't got to be too loud. The lads firmly know that. Every single one of us know that the realism of the situation is we're in the relegation zone. We might be 1 point adrift, we might be 7 points adrift, but we're still in the relegation zone. No one will be happy until them sort of 46 games are played, and we're above that line. So I think everyone's got that sort of that common goal. No one's going to take their foot off the gas until we're either mathematically safe or, like I say, until them 46 games are done and we're above the relegation zone.
And away from the pitch for a second, we had the news about Wigan going into administration yesterday, or potentially going into administration. Is that something that the players or Gerhard talk about? Does it get mentioned, or is it a case of ignore everything, knuckle down and focus on the job in hand?
No, I think it's something that, like I touched on before, them outside influences, the uncontrollables, there's no point wasting energy on that sort of thing. It doesn't make a difference to us in terms of the points that we want to get, that we need to get. Doesn't make a difference whatsoever. So probably no point even thinking about it or thinking it is a good thing, because it makes no difference. We just need to do what we need to do and getting the points that we know that will hopefully keep us up.
And we'll finish with some questions on your teammates and football in general, and then you might just make the Liverpool-Man City game. Two questions on your Barnsley teammates. Which player has turned up late or just on time for training the most since you joined? There's always one.
There is always one, but in the current team, the squad that's there now, there's not too many, It's a professional group. It's a punctual group. There's honestly not too many, other than some of the lads that have left were culprits for that. But yeah, in the current group, to be fair to the lads, it's very professional, very, very punctual.
And then who's typically the first and last off the training pitch almost every session?
Probably the strikers, to be honest, just because we love hitting balls as hard as we can at the goal for as long as possible until we get told off for doing too long shooting, or the goalkeepers get tired. But no, probably the strikers and the goalies, because we're always at the end of sessions doing extra shooting drills, whatever that may be, simple ones, heading, volleys, sort of simple finishes, close range crosses, all sorts really. We got that's something that obviously do quite a lot, just because that sort of sharpness and that sort of finishing is something that is important. So we always stay behind it at the end of training to do that.
And then going back to Portsmouth here, there's been some legendary names go through Portsmouth Football Club as you worked your way up through the different age groups. Were there any first team players that had a fearsome reputation amongst the juniors? So if you were cleaning their boots, you didn't want to get it wrong or anything like that?
Probably Michael Doyle when we were in League Two. Everyone was scared. I'm not sure whether you know him, but he's had an unbelievable career. Captained some huge clubs, Coventry, Portsmouth, Sheffield United. And he's definitely someone that you'd be scared of as a young lad. I was quite lucky. I got on really well with him. He looked after me, but some of the lads got some, if you're on his boots, make sure they're sparkling or don't give them to him.
Brilliant. And then just one for you personally, which player did you aspire to be like when you were growing up playing football?
Lionel Messi for me. Just the pinnacle is the GOAT of world football, in my opinion. Impossible to reach those heights in terms of stats, and not even stats. It's just watching him play. It's honestly sometimes I've never had with anyone else sort of been taking a breath away or been sort of a open mouth moment. Maybe not even once, but with him it sort of happens sort of 4, 5, 6, 7 times a season, where you just think, how is that possible? What he's just done? For me, he's the best that there ever will be.
And if there's one club in the world you could play for, who would you choose?
Probably Barcelona. Barcelona in the next couple of years, hopefully. So I'll be next to Messi. So let's get cracking with some goals, really, haven't I?
Yeah, 20 by the end of the season should do it.
Yeah, maybe 30 in the next 3 games.
Yeah. And then the last question. I know we announced today we've sold 7,000 season tickets for next season, which I'm hoping gives the players a massive boost. Is there a message for the fans ahead of the game on Saturday that you can deliver for us before we call time on this interview?
Yeah, of course. I think touching on that support is integral at this moment of time as well, not just for the players but for the football club. It's matters obviously because of coronavirus and things like that. The sort of effort from the fans to renew season tickets has been unbelievable, and that gives us great confidence, great backing, and that's something that definitely comes Saturday. And in these last 6 games, we'll be looking to repay and to give something back because they have been really, really important for us in this running.
Well, on that note, we move on to Saturday, side by side, and we look to maintain the great start we've had. So, Conor, thanks for doing this. Right in the middle of the crazy schedule of back-to-back games in back-to-back weeks. So, big thank you from me, and obviously we wish you and all the boys the best for the 6 cup finals over the next 21 days or whatever it is.
Yeah, honestly, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for having me. And thanks for obviously the good luck as well. Hopefully that will tell.
And just before we let you go, time for a little bit of honesty from me, Conor. So before we sign off, because I wasn't brave enough to mention this at the start, I actually lost a bet with a fellow Red, as I said you wouldn't get into double figures this season. So,
top man.
So I'm sorry, but to be fair, it was because I thought you were going to get played on the wing. But yeah, I'm £20 out of pocket. But thankfully £20 out of pocket. So
£20 out of pocket.
Apologies from me for the lack of faith.
Tell your mate he's a top man anyway.
Well, look. Okay, everyone. Look, tonight's final words are short. Stay tuned to our social media pages as we're working on confirming a guest for next Thursday. There's one in the pipeline. We'll announce it as soon as we've confirmed. Conor, thanks again. All the best for the weekend and all the other games, and take care.
Thank you very much. Cheers, guys.
All right. Good night, everyone. Stay safe.